Polly Jo Labbé, here with Star Nations Radio Network, and we're broadcasting to you live through Be Live TV. Welcome, everyone. I know there was a typo I typed in Tuesday, and it's Thursday. So here we are on Thursday, May 7th, and we're going to talk about the root chakra because that is being really activated, shifted, expanded, and evolved on a planetary level. And so when we understand our own root chakra, we can start to understand how other people's are affected around us. So welcome. So I see we have a couple of people in the house. Hi, Sandy. Welcome. Glad to have you here. And good evening, Christine. Nice to have you. And Diana is saying, good evening. Yes, please. I'm not pulling cards tonight, sweetie, but I'm glad to have you. There's a lot of information that'll happen. And Sandy said, liked and shared. Yes, I did not. Yeah, so Diana's saying it's Thursday. Yeah. So never mind. Yeah, it's I didn't pull cards yesterday. I've been working on clearing in the physical realm, and I was having a little upset stomach, and I just didn't think I was going to make it all the way through the show. So there you have it. Hi, Jessica. Thanks for that. Yeah, I've been enjoying playing with it. So it's been a good thing. Hi, Anne. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. So yeah, tonight is all about our root chakra. And I mean, many of us have learned a lot about it, but we haven't really talked about having a multidimensional root chakra, which means it's not just operating in this third dimension in the earth plane, but it's also working through in the fourth and fifth dimension because we're moving and we're stretching and we're evolving. So as that happens, and as we're getting sort of pushed out of our comfort zone, we're in this place where we maybe need to learn what's going on with our physical body and our energetic body so we can use the tools we might have in our toolbox. And if you don't have tools in your toolbox, that's what I'm here for. I'm going to be here every week to help you build up a toolbox to heal yourself, because that's the whole point, is to evolve our energy to the next level. We do that through healing. We don't skip grades. We have to move through them equally. So that's what we're here for. Hi, Neshi. Nice to have you. So everybody, if you could like and share this broadcast, that would be great. That's how we get out there into Facebook land. And that's how maybe there's somebody out there who could use this information either right now or really, I see it as their spiritual team will get it to them when they need it. That's the cool thing about technology. So we're talking about the physical realm of the root chakra. And each chakra has, if you can imagine, they're a sphere of color, and each one has a ring around it. They have little bubbles around them, and one closest to the chakra is what's called the physical realm. And in the physical realm, that's when we experience physical discomfort in our body. When the root chakra is not happy, we have places where we're going to feel it physically. And there's ways that we're going to experience it physically. And each chakra has their own, vibration that they send out. And so tonight we're going to talk about the physical symptoms because there's a lot of people having them. And it's because we're shifting the root chakra of the entire planet. Mother Earth is stretching and growing hers. And because we're on top and in her aura, we've got to match her vibration, or we no longer match her vibration. We're not in that magnetic attraction, and we'll no longer be here. So That's how it goes. Hi, Ellen. Nice to have you. Janet, it is not a card night. It was supposed to be last night. And what happened was I was not feeling well in the physical realm. It was a third chakra thing, though. But tonight we're going to talk about the root chakra. So, hi, Deborah. Glad to have you here too. Thanks for sharing. All right. So, what are the physical aspects of the root chakra? First of all, it's red in color. So if you have difficulty with the color red, you may have an imbalance in your root chakra. So just seeing red can activate anger for some people. It can make people feel uncomfortable. And so just seeing the color, you can have a visceral reaction. It can begin to impact your physical body. So notice if that happens for you. So ideally, I would have worn red today, but that just didn't happen. So I'm trying to see what I have that might be red. Oh, here, hold on. So here's one of my storage boxes, right? This red color. It's got some great oils in it. And so that red color, when you see it, you know how it is when you're drawn to decorate your house with certain colors. You're drawn to wear certain colors on certain days. And red has a lot of, fire in it for some people, but it's also very connected to how we feel in our physical body. Jean Elaine is saying bonjour spelling. Jean the French. I was feeling that it should be Jean Elaine or Jean Elaine the first time she was on. Hello, April. Glad to have you. And yes, Kimberly, I'm feeling much, much better. My chair, does my chair look red? It's actually pink. It's very fuchsia pink, but I guess it does. Looking at it in the light, it does look red. But it's definitely in person. It's very fuchsia. So just seeing the color red can be that we need to work on that energy. And think about it when people decorate with that color. The reaction that we have, and sometimes it's a good reaction and sometimes it's not, and that's okay. So with that root chakra, right, just seeing the color can start to create an energetic reaction in our physical body. And when our root chakra is out of balance, we can have symptoms in a number of places because it is the foundation. So when, if you think about the foundation of a house, if it has a crack, you might not notice it in the basement. Maybe you'd notice on the first floor, but you definitely can feel the shift on the second floor, right? And so there are times when there's like these energetic cracks in our root chakra or blockages. Or energy that's compressed and not flowing. And when we have that, we can feel wobbly, we can feel off balance, and we can feel unsteady. So one of the things that happens when we have a wobbly root chakra is we can actually feel a little dizzy, or we can have trouble with like tripping when we're walking. And it's that we don't feel sure-footed, right? So Ellen is saying, I never wear red. It's her least favorite color. Well, sweetheart, when you never wear red, generally it's because you have some stuff going on in the root chakra, right? And so root chakra is about family, money, job, safety and security, and your tribal family of origin. So if that was a little rocky, red may not be the color you want to wear. My dance teacher years ago, because I had really brown hair and really fair skin, she loved me in red. And I looked good in red, but I did not like wearing red because I had a very weak root chakra. We had moved many times. Money was difficult for my family. Having food on the table was difficult for my family at times. And, you know, my parents got divorced. My dad moved away. So there were a lot of things that had a very unsteady root chakra. So red for me was so difficult to wear. And it was something that I had to learn to practice on owning my own foundation rather than the foundation my family of origin created for me. So it just sounds like you probably need a little work on your root chakra. And maybe you just have something red in your house to help you remind yourself to work on it. You know, maybe it's a scarf that you have. You might not wear it yet, but you might put it over a chair so that when you see it, it reminds you to check and see how grounded you are and whether you know, seeing it, whether it creates a reaction in you or not, until you get more and more used to the color. It helps you learn to build it up. And one of the things you can do to help with that, Ellen, is you could put red on your altar. So in our sacred space, when we create an altar, it's our connection to our spiritual team. It's our connection to the divine. And it doesn't have to be big. It can be just a little tiny place. But just imagine if you put a red rose on it, because I know you love flowers and they're beautiful. So that red rose could symbolize for you your root chakra and that connection and asking it to bloom and flourish. Right? Neshi's saying she loves the color red. She's pretty grounded, right? And it looks good on me as winter. Yes. Yeah. You know, I think red is something that there's variations in the shade. And so we just need to find the one that matches us to feel comfortable in it. But I remember not being able to wear red for a long time. Now, I like to wear red, but red has a very symbolic energy for me. It's very much when I feel like I'm exerting my feminine power. So that's just me. So when we have that unstable feeling in our root chakra, then think about it. It's hard to move forward. We are cautious. We may be more worried. We may have, you know, like what ifs going through our head, and that creates an emotional reaction. Another thing that happens in the root chakra is anything to do with our legs, because they're the closest appendages to the root chakra. So our feet, our ankles, our shins, our calves, our knees, our thighs, and even part of our hips. So where if you notice where the leg attaches into the hip up to the hip socket, anything that is still attached to the leg bone is part of your root chakra, and your tailbone as well at the base of the spine. So those are all bones that are connected. Now, the foundation of our whole body are all of our bones. So when we have a bone in our body that is having trouble, like say you're having trouble with your forearm or maybe your shoulder, right? Like Neshi and I have both had shoulders. So when we have that, it's the root chakra because it's bone when it is bone. And then the closest chakra to that bone is also working with it. So a shoulder is going to be your heart and your root chakra. So then you would be like, okay, so my shoulder's hurting. So it's a bone. It's part of the bone that's hurting. And it's closest to my heart. So what's at the foundation of my heart, and that may be how caring your relationships are, or how open and loving they are. And that whether you're giving more in the relationship or receiving more, that could affect your bones. And so that is a way to think of it. So it's the bones and are part of the root chakra, and as whatever chakra they're closest to, that's when they work as a team. So you can imagine when it's your knees that are having trouble, that's all root chakra. It's like root chakra squared. And generally that's when we're getting caught in inflexibility. We're having difficulty with change. We're having difficulty adapting to changing circumstances around us. And we feel off balance, right? So, and when our knee is giving out or hurting, we need something to help us. We need that support. So we're using a crutch, we're using a cane, and we're walking differently, right? When we're not steady. So that is part of the physical manifestation of the root chakra. The root chakra is also in charge of our skin, and it's in charge of our teeth. And so, because they're basically bone. But so if you think of your skin and say you break out in a rash, that rash, wherever the rash is located, it's a combination of your root chakra and where the rash is located. So Neshi says, what is at the foundation of my heart relationships? Makes sense. So how does this fit into the multidimensional aspects? So we have to know where the foundation is, right? And so we need to look at how our physical vehicle is reacting to the energy. And when we're having symptoms, it means that the energy in the chakra isn't balanced. So it's either running too much energy or it's blocked and not running enough energy. And generally, when it's running too much energy, it really starts to impact our emotional response, and it then impacts our thinking. Too little, it does that as well. But it's the heavy denseness that we feel. And when we feel that heavy weight, which is usually the chakra collapsing because of how dense the energy is around it, that's generally, it slows it down. Because if you think about like your car engine running on oil, when the oil is thick and sludgy, the engine can't run very well. It's gonna cough and sputter, if it even starts at all, right? And so, or if you put the wrong oil in, then the car doesn't run as well because it's not a match. So we need to start with the physical manifestations of the root chakra is how we experience it in the third dimension. When we start to add in our emotional reactions, then we're starting to move into ourselves as more of an emotional being. And we use that with our intuition, and that starts to gently slide us toward the fourth dimension. So our one of the best examples of an animal or a creature on the planet who is literally only in root chakra is a crocodile. And if you think about a crocodile, there's no emotions attached, right? The crocodile is in the eat or be eaten. And the only time you're safe with a crocodile is when their belly is full, because then you're not the next snack. But that is the base survival, so which one is going to come out alive. And in the physical realm right now, there are a lot of people have been having hip pain, knee pain, leg pain. They've been having odd rashes or hives, or eczema showing up on their body. They're having trouble with their teeth or their gums. And all of that is because there's so much going on to disrupt our foundation. So a lot of people's money is affected, and or jobs are affected, or their family is affected by what's going on right now. And when we have all of those outside energetic influences, they're shaking the chakra kind of like a snow globe. But unfortunately, what's inside isn't like, it's not just settling, it's shaking all the little pieces that are inside as well. So very nice. Oh, hi, Marie. Nice to have you. Glad to have you in the house. So I hope that answered your question, Neshi. And, at our root, every building is built from the foundation up. And so for us to move into a multidimensional arena with our energy and our evolution of humanity, we need to have a nice, strong foundation. And so what happens when we are shaking it up is the things that are ready to heal and clear in that root chakra are showing up. So if you're having physical pains in your body that has to do with joints or pain in bones, your skin, those are all things that impact your root chakra. The other thing that has a very strong connection to the root chakra is your bowels. And they work in conjunction with the other chakras, but a lot of people who have difficulty with their root, they may be sort of holding on to energy like and when you're in that place, it often creates a disruption in your bowels. So that is another piece that in the physical realm, it really connects. And so those are, basic body places where we're going to have difficulty if we're having trouble with our root chakra. And then how do we take care of that on the physical level? Part of it is we have to help our root chakra feel grounded. And I know many of you have watched Neshi's daily grounding meditations, and there's a good reason why she's doing them every day because our root chakra needs to reground every day, and actually at this point in time, multiple times a day. And so that can be very difficult for us to remember to do. But it is one of those tools that we can pull out of our toolbox and use for our root chakra to start to feel more at ease, more comfortable with the change that's going on for the planet and for ourselves. Grounding every day and a couple times a day is really helpful. For those of you who are having disrupted sleep, and it may not be all the time, but I know that a lot of people are having it, sort of in waves. One of the things that can really help as well is to do a grounding before you go to bed, because it anchors your energy here. It releases everything that you don't need to hold on to and think about when you go to bed. And it invites the root chakra to stay balanced while you're sleeping. So maybe it won't be so disrupted when you wake up, if that makes sense to you. So, the root chakra is connected to the element of earth. So That's why we talk about grounding. It is, how do we bring the earth element into balance in our body? And that's part of the multidimensional aspect as well. It's understanding that we carry all of these elements inside of us. And what happens if we have, earth that is cracked, right? And breaking apart. Um, or, that's too dry, right? Or what do we have if it's really rocky and you can't balance on it very easily? It's about bringing that earth element um, into its fullest space, and that begins to activate for us that the elemental part of our being, which connects us to multiple dimensions, because there are elements at play in other dimensions. And so having our core elements in balance allows us to connect to the core elements in other dimensions as well. Phew. I hope that made sense. So with the earth element, one of the things that we do to take care of our physical body, to feel safe, to feel like we're taken care of, is food, right? And for those, we've all, I'm sure, at some point in time, eaten because of our stress. And sometimes we eat to pacify our inner child. When the root chakra is out of balance, it's really key for us to bring in nutrients that have a lot of mineral content in them, and eating foods that have a lot of connection to the earth. So this is when you would bring in things like root vegetables, like your potatoes, your sweet potatoes, yams, onions, carrots, beets. Those are my big ones. And then any of the dark green veggies, like spinach and kale and things like that, because they have a lot of iron in them, right? And because they have a lot of earth in them. And when we do that, when we have that, those foods help ground us, So it's not surprising that, we might have a comfort food of, mashed potatoes, because it reminds us of family and celebrations. But it's also a root vegetable, and it helps us feel grounded. And if you're lucky enough to eat potatoes, then have at it. Because that's one of the things that I ended up becoming allergic to, which I find ironic. But it's a very, very good way for you to do that. For me, lots of times when I feeling that comfort need, that's when I pull out the crock pot and I have, my carrots and my onions. And for me, I like the butternut squash. But you're going to put in those root vegetables, right? And then you might, if you add meat, if you eat meat, adding an animal that eats mostly grass, because that means they're eating of the earth, then that again is very grounding. And the bigger the animal, the more grounded they are. So it's why sometimes you will crave, steak or a burger or bison. They have a lot of dense energy that helps bring the energy into a grounded place. And that helps the root chakra feel safe and secure. And then you're not having worries about having enough food, enough shelter, enough water, enough money. It starts to calm that energy of enough. I hope that makes sense to you guys. So those are things that you can eat And that's so easy, right? For us to go, oh, I'm feeling really ungrounded, so I want to have something that is really grounded as well. So notice I didn't say coffee and I didn't say sugar, which are the things we sometimes pick up, right? But the interesting thing is that, some of the darker chocolates, some people notice, right, that the darker chocolates can feel very grounded. Well, where do the cocoa beans grow? So they have a lot of that rich energy to them. And it's what coffee beans have, that rich energy to them. So for some people that is grounding, and for other people it is not. So just be mindful that those can both boomerang. They can ground you or they can unground you. And it may not be the same at different points in time. So they can be very helpful. I feel like it has to do with who's having it. If your inner child needs a little something and you give them a piece of, like, the dark chocolate, they feel like they've had candy, but you've had something that grounds you. And Jean is saying, yes, minerals too. Yes, chocolate. Yes. Yes. And I mean, that's why a lot of people take their supplements and their vitamins, because we don't get all the nutrients we're meant to get in our food, because we cook them and we do things to them, but also because we may not be getting the quality that we used to. So supporting ourselves with the supplements that work on that is another thing that will help calm the root chakra. And vitamin D and calcium are huge for helping support the bones. And those also will help the nutrients get absorbed more fully. Sorry. It was like this flash of something else came in. So that can help support your bones. And the other thing is, for the root chakra, one of the things that it often needs is gentle movement. Because if you think about our bones and we want them to be nice and strong, they need to be able to move. And you want the muscles that are attached to them to be flexible and pliable, so that they're not causing undue stress on the joints and the bones in different ways. And so for the root chakra, it's all about gentle stretching. And yoga comes to mind, some of the yoga stretches, because people have seen those and learned those and used those before. But the stretches that work on the root chakra in yoga are more of the mountain pose, which is just standing with your feet apart and your arms out, and really feeling your center and feeling both legs evenly and feeling your spine aligning. And that's just calling your attention back to your physical body, this vehicle that is bringing you through this life experience. And so that's one of the strongest ones that's out there. And, then when you're working on the wobbliness, one of the things you can practice is tree, where you pick up one foot and you put it on you can put it on your ankle, or you can put it on your knee, and you balance, with your arms above you. And it's about restoring, again, your center, your ground, your alignment, and that lets that root chakra not work so hard. Because when those little engines are running on, overdrive, it starts to bleed out into all sorts of things in our lives. And that root chakra holds a lot of fear energy for people. It's existential fear. So it's our fear of dying or things that could put us in danger. And when that is on high alert, it activates our adrenals, and we go into that moment of survival. We are in the fight, flight, freeze responses, and when we're in that energy, we're what my team and many people call, when you're in that reactive mode, you're triggered and you're not in the current moment. So when that root chakra is shaky and it's activating all of this fear responses, then the next thing you know, you're not thinking as clearly and you're not calmly taking action. You're simply reacting to your environment and what's going on around you. And many of us have had that. We've had, weeks now where there have been a number of things to stir up our anxiety, our worry, and our fear, because there's so many things that we can't predict, and there's so much change that we can't control. And those are all things that impact the root chakra quite a bit. And then when that's impacted, it can start to affect us in this dimension, in our physical body, and what's happening to our body and how we're reacting. So if you're having any reactions that you think might be related to your root chakra, feel free to type it in, and maybe I can help you get a read on what it's connected to. Because I know, some people may be having pain in their spine or their hips or their shoulders, and just to get you clear on how that shows up for you in the physical realm. So feel free to type that in if you have any of those. So in terms of other things that you can do, what is the most grounded, connected energy on the planet? Trees, right? Because they're well rooted, or most of them are very well rooted. The ones that have been around a long time have deep, deep roots. And as far as they go underneath, they spread above. And they're teaching us how to be that energy. So we can look to trees to help us. We can, it's why people say, hug a tree. But also you can sit with your back to a tree and allow the tree to teach you and help you to learn how to ground and center your energy. But the cool thing is that, we have ways that we have trees in our everyday life that can help us with our physical energy and help our energy remember how to become more balanced. So the element of wood anywhere in your house, anywhere, will help ground the energy, help remain much stronger. It's why when we started building some of the houses out of wood, it had a very grounding sensation to it, because we were able to feel the connection that was still in the wood beneath our feet. And we feel it when we're sitting in a chair like that. And even when we pick up something like paper, right? You're going to pick up paper when we have ideas and thoughts that are spinning and we can't control them. How do we get them to stop, right? The to-do lists, we get them onto paper, we write them down, we take that energy, that spinning energy, and we put it into something tangible. And when we put it into something tangible, it gives us space for our root chakra to go, oh, okay, I don't have to keep moving that. I don't have to keep spinning that. I don't have to keep connecting to that. And so those are all things that we can do pretty easily. And I really love using essential oils. Many of you know that. And so all of the oils that are made from trees, you can wear them, you can smell them. Some of them, I know there are a few that you can ingest, but in general, just smelling the wood. Why do you think you feel, for those of you who celebrate Christmas, right? That fresh tree scent, right? When you have that pine tree in the house and that smell and that the way that just calms the energy. Or if you've ever had a wood fire, and even though you're having the fire element with the wood, it's the two together, it's that calm. It brings in this calm. And right now we all could use as much calm as we can on this physical realm. So I hope that's sort of giving you some ideas about the physical realm of the root chakra and how much just one little sphere can impact many things around you. So, it gets activated when we have anything to do with insecurity, especially around job, money, our house, and our family. And there are a lot of people who are affected by that right now. And those of you who are empaths, it doesn't have to affect you personally. You just need to sense it on somebody else on the planet. You just need to know one person who's having a little bit of a hard time with that. And it can be enough to start to create a little bit of a wiggle in your root chakra. And for those of you who have, who had any childhood trauma, any trauma that happened in your house of origin, even if it was just simply moving, like relocating, you may have had, like a parent who, lost a job, or there was financial struggle, and or that people didn't get along in your family, if there was a lot of tension, a lot of fighting, all of those things, that's what formed your root chakra to begin with. So anything that's a little bit off of balance, it can activate that energy on a fuller way for you. And it for many people, that is where their victim energy gets a lot of bandwidth. The feeling that things are always happening to you, and the feeling that people are out to get you, or you have the self-talk of, there's never enough, there'll never be enough. The other thing that happens a lot is people hold on to things. It's very indicative of hoarding energy. And we'll talk about that more when we go into the emotional realm and the mental realms as well. But the hoarding energy is holding on to things in case you might need them. And aren't we all in that? So a lot of people fixated on toilet paper. And as I said, the root chakra is also connected to your bowels. So, and paper is grounding, right? And so holding on to something that, when you feel like you can't control things, you may have loose bowels because you can't hold on to anything. You can't control anything. And so what are you going to need? So a lot of toilet paper, right? And so that sense of, I can't control anything, so I need toilet paper, it's very connected to the root chakra. And it's why paper towel was sort of like the next one up. you know, and if you've noticed, I don't know about out your way, but out here, you know, most of the stores have switched over to paper bags, um, which is great for the environment, but it's also very grounding that we're using paper again, because that's very much root chakra. And you know, and how we take care of that paper and how we use that paper and whether we recycle it and take care of it, that's a sign of the evolution of that chakra for us. So that's quite a bit of information. I know that's there's plenty there to absorb. So the way I am seeing bringing chakra sessions into this new era is for us to work on the chakras one at a time. And we will spend a whole month on the chakra because we're going to talk about how it physically impacts us. And then we're going to go into next week, we'll talk about how emotionally, when the chakra is out, what does it do and how does it impact us? So that we have awareness in ourselves, but then we have compassion for people around us. So, you know, if you've got somebody who's, you know, limping and having trouble with their knees or their back, and you're seeing that, then you can understand that they may be having difficulty with their root chakra. They may not be feeling completely steady and safe. And so when you know that about someone else, you change your tone of voice, you change how you interact. Your heart opens in a fuller way, and you interact with much more compassion, much more patience. And so understanding this lets you know what's going on with you, but it also lets you understand what's going on with other people. And in this awareness, we can help each other. And so we're going to talk about the emotional aspects of the root chakra next time, because that is really key. A lot of people are having a lot of emotions. And again, when we don't have control over situations, then often we start to lose control of our own energy, and that may manifest in, you know, mood swings. And the way the mood swings depends on what chakras are connected. And so that's why we're going to investigate that. And then we'll work on the mental realm, and we'll look at the beliefs that we may have, especially as a society, that continue to create imbalance in each chakra. And when we look at those base beliefs, and maybe we'll come up with some that are unique to you or to me, then we can, in that awareness, we can start to break them up, and we can start to clear all of that. And that is, you know, part of the healing process for ourselves and for humanity. And then we will start working on the spiritual aspect. How does this chakra connect to the divine? How does it connect to other dimensions? How does it connect to our karma and our past lives? And how can we clear that energy in such a way that we can clean up that energy mess that we may have carried with us, so that we don't have to carry it forward? And how do we release it generationally? Because maybe what I'm talking about, you're hearing, yeah, I have knee trouble, but so does my mom, and so does my grandma, and my daughter seems, she just twisted her knee yesterday. That's an energetic connection, and we can shift that vibrationally as a team. And so that's how I am seeing chakra sessions evolve. We'll spend a month on each one, and I'm working on a 12 chakra system as opposed to 7. which helps us work with our higher self. And we will be working with the chakras of our higher self, because believe it or not, even they can become impacted by the energy of evolution and what we're going through. Even our higher self may be having difficulty grounding. And so how do we work with that, and how do we connect with that? And in the bonus months where we have 5 weeks, then I'm going to be straight up just channeling wisdom from the Ancient One that we need at that moment. Because that has been very prevalent for those of you who read Star Nations magazine. And I suggest everybody read it, because it's fantastic and it has so much information. You know, it's a place where you have a gathering of spiritual teachers from all different viewpoints and different practices coming together to bring a solid foundation. There's the word again. For your spiritual path and your spiritual journey. So that can be really helpful. Oh, Gina Lane. I made my own bone broth this week with a whole bag of carrots, 4 onions, garlic, 2 bags of celery, and a rutabaga. I'm sipping some now. Yes. In a regular soup bowl instead of ice cream. Right? I mean, that's fantastic. And that's exactly the type of thing that it's more comforting. And in the end, it serves our energy. And it doesn't mean we don't have ice cream, because sometimes our inner child needs ice cream, but it's a different sensation when we're taking care of our energy body the way it needs to. So Neshi's saying, this is all the information about Star Nations magazine. So if you haven't, gotten that, I really encourage it. And each month, for me, it's channeled wisdom from the Ancient One. It is just guidelines for humanity on how to navigate this time and our evolution, and words of encouragement, words of wisdom. And it really has been, very, very helpful. And then she says, Kimberly says, can't wait till hers arrives. Yes. Oh, it was a red soup bowl. Oh, I thought you said a regular soup bowl. Red. I love it. Even better. You're really tuned in. So Neshi's sharing, this is the link for my products and services, is trinityhealingsanctuaries.com. That's where you can find me, and you can find some of the blends that can help you. And I do have a first chakra blend. And surprise, surprise, it's in a red bottle. And that oil teaches your first chakra how to bring itself into balance. So it works whether you have too much energy or too little energy. And just stay tuned, because next week I'm going to have a special on all of the chakra oils. So, if you're finding that maybe that you need this once in a while, this is very, very helpful. And I have been working with a lot of people on bringing balance into their lives and helping them get to a place where they're feeling connected. So, if that's something you need, feel free to reach out to me through Trinity Healing Sanctuary, or message me here through Chakra Sessions, and I'd be happy to help, because it's my personal mission to heal the healers. And thank you for helping me do that by connecting with me here on Chakra Sessions. And I will be here next week, and we'll be talking about the emotional realm of the root chakra, and seeing what emotionally it stirs up and what we can do about that. And catch me on Soul Connections next Wednesday, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of cards read for all of that. So Gina Lane says, Mother's Day gift to self. Oh, yes. There's going to be a special on the 7 chakras and on the 12. Way, way, way big, deep discount. So I'm very excited. And Julie's saying, love that. Nice. All right. So with that, for those of you who, there's some of you who will be joining me. I'm teaching a class called Walking the Psychic Pathway. And that is going to be held momentarily at 8 o'clock. You can check if you're interested in that. There's still some room. You can go to Dragonflies in Amber, their webpage on Facebook, and then you can follow the link, and that class will be recorded. I'm doing 4 weeks of psychic development because we need to bring that into balance in all of the dimensions. And that's a brand new thing that's going on. So it's all new material. So I invite you to join me. I got to go because I got to teach, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a great one.